Catus Maximus here, this time with a quick review of this performance tool alternator and power steering pulley puller. This is used for certain special types of, pulleys. Before I get into that, this is like 20 bucks. I've seen this, over 30 bucks online, so don't get ripped off. And I've been receiving an increasing number of comments. I've actually, about performance tool warranty. I've warrantied a couple of their items, but it's been at the original auto parts store. But a lot of comments now have been popping up about how Performance Tool is competing with Titan Tool for actually having the worst warranty that post 90 days. So I'll be keeping track of that. What I will say is that I would probably find a different puller. How these pullers work is on certain like GM vehicles and some Fords, they have sheet metal power steering and alternator pulleys. If you ever have one of those is somehow warped, worn out, and you need to pull it off, they have a kind of a special design so that you're not grabbing onto the pulley or on the back of the pulley, since they're just stamped sheet metal, potentially damaging it or warping it. They have a steel hub that's put in the middle, and it has a little ring, a special little pulling ring, and that's what these are for. Is you'd have like these two half moon clamps. They would go over, you'd run this thing down, way down, and I should mention it does have like a little spinner here so it doesn't wear out the end of the rod. This is just held in by an O-ring, and you can just see the reflection. There is a steel ball bearing that the back of this rides on, so at least it's engineered okay. I can at least give them that credit, even if they won't warranty it. I will say that these two halves, obvious, those are cast steel, which is not the most robust material. So what you do, I gotta really retract this, is you get this whole assembly on like so. Wow, this doesn't even have enough clearance for me to use the darn bolts as an example. Anyway, you get the whole assembly on there. The flange is going to be a little thinner than this bolt head. Then you'd slip this collar over it, keeping these two halves together. Then you hold this with a wrench and screw this down. Now the issue with this performance tool, let me get this run down again, is the fact that I had to really lube this, the threads are really stuck. It's how loose this collar fits. When these two halves are together, this collar really needs to fit pretty tight so it stays in place while you're using the wrench. Two wrenches to operate this means your hands aren't going to be able to keep this collar in place. And this collar is just super loose. It's just ridiculous. You can just see the amount of clearance in there. It's just disappointing. That will float around, can cause you issues, especially if it floats backwards. Because as you're pulling, these two halves can want to come apart and can will then be pressing, concentrating their energy or their force right on the edge of the ring, causing it to warp and slip off. And I read a few online reviews where that's happened. So these collars really need to be pretty tight so they stay absolutely centered, so that you don't have the problem with these clamshells wanting to split apart like that. There's also been some comments where not all these have not been manufactured very consistently, and there's been some burrs and other things inside these half moons where they just don't fit properly. So anyway, I just wanted to do a little review, and I do have an Apple one. I have no idea where I put it right now, but I would recommend another brand like a Napa if you're going to get one of these specialized pulley pullers. I have used these in odd situations as bearing pullers, but you just don't have space for the claws, and so it's kind of handy to have them. But once I got this performance tool, I mean, it was an open box, so I got it for pretty cheap. But it's disappointing. Not particularly, the bolt is well made, but the whole sizing and fitment is not great. Anyway, really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.